Today, my friend Josh and I are heading across the northern US border on one of Amtrak's only international routes, operated with their rarest and strangest passenger equipment. This is the Amtrak Cascades service, and we'll be riding it from Seattle, Washington to Vancouver, British Columbia. But how does border control work on an Amtrak train? Just how old are these seats? And can Amtrak get clam chowder right? The only way to find out is to go for a ride. Amtrak united its Pacific Northwest Corridor services under the Amtrak Cascades brand in the late 90s in collaboration with the Washington and Oregon Departments of Transportation. Today's train started in Portland, and we'll be boarding in Seattle, riding the 156 miles to Vancouver, British Columbia over 4 hours. Booked about 2 months in advance, this trip cost me $44. We step off the Link Light Rail at International District Chinatown and walk about 2 blocks to King Street Station, opened in 1906. We know there's a train waiting for us, but we don't know what type it'll be yet, which means there's a possibility we'll be riding Amtrak's rare Talgo train sets. Talgo is a Spanish company that makes unique, permanently coupled passenger train sets, which often feature short car bodies, low centers of gravity, and single-axle bogies to allow for high-speed operation, even on conventional rail. Amtrak originally operated the Cascade service with a whole fleet of Talgo train sets, but these days there's only 2 left. One of the trains parked on the track over there is a Talgo, one of them is an Amfleet. I can't really see either of them from here, and I just stepped on a container of ketchup, so that's how my day's going. Thank you for asking. How's your day going? We head inside King Street Station, where the historic waiting room is laid out below us. Since we're traveling across the Canadian border, we have to check in at the ticket desk and show our passports. Once we do that, we're handed Canadian customs forms to fill out. It turns out that neither of the parked trains is ours. Instead, our train is coming up from Portland, and thankfully, it's a Talgo. We line up and walk out to the platform. Our Talgo set, the Mount Jefferson, features a strange-looking cab car that some have described as duck-like. This is a Series 8 Talgo. The now retired Series 6 trains used F40PH cabbage cars on their non-powered ends. From here, you can see the single-axle wheel sets in between each car, as well as the steps that deploy at each station. Each car is quite short compared to an Amfleet, and rides low to the ground. Seats are laid out in a 2-2 configuration, and the cushions are definitely showing their age, notable for a train set built in 2012. There are also power outlets between the seats, overhead reading lights, and window shades. I don't think I'm going to do that again this trip. I need to mention how much I dislike this seat back pocket. It's made of solid, plastic, and it barely fits anything. I'm trying to slip my laptop in here. If this were an Amfleet, like one of those, no problem. But as is, it's barely squeezing it in here. I'm seriously worried it's gonna break. These trains feel European, and not entirely in the best way. They feel like when I've been to Europe and I've been on equipment that's been around for about 20, 30 years. The seats are worn down, there's scuff marks everywhere. Really don't like the seat, it's very hard. I feel like for rail fan purposes, I'm very excited to be on a Talgo, but for purposes of my rear end, I would have preferred to be on that train over there. So testing out the recline, there's a little button down here. The seat cushion slides forward and the back also kind of goes down, and this is honestly what the Avalia seats should have been. I don't like the seat cushion, but the recline is quite good. Emerging from the tunnel under downtown Seattle, we run along the city's waterfront, then pass our first freight trains belonging to BNSF, which also owns the line we're on. We cross the Salmon Bay Bridge into Ballard, then pass another freight train, which really drives home how low to the ground we are. There's only 2 direct trains from Seattle to Vancouver daily, but as we reach the shore of the Puget Sound, I am very glad that at least one of them is at golden hour. Our serenity is broken up by a strangely familiar announcement chime.
Attention, ladies and gentlemen.
Is it just me, or does the PA sound like the Windows error sound?
Our first stop is Edmonds, population 42,000, where 9-year-old Caleb once came to watch freight trains go by. It's definitely fun to be back here, living out my childhood dreams of taking trains everywhere. Then we're back to pristine scenery. As a reminder, this video was funded thanks to my generous Patreon supporters. We pass a station for Sounder commuter rail, as well as a ferry across the Puget Sound to Whidbey Island. If you believe in fairies, then clap your hands. You didn't clap your hands, the ferry's gonna sink. What's really wild is that we've been on the train for an hour, and we're heading towards Everett. That's the next stop. This is where they want to take Link. Eventually, you will be able to make this trip that we just did on light rail. I can't imagine how long that would take. I definitely feel like Sound Transit's kind of pushing light rail to almost be an S-Bahn at this point.
Someone say S-Bahn?
It won't have this great of a view, though. You'll just be seeing I-5. In Everett, we pass stored equipment for the Sounder commuter train, then continue north. Okay, Josh is doing Amtrak Wi-Fi speed test.
Oh, we're off to a roaring start here.
The speed test is not loading.
I'm trying to run it, but it's still trying to load it.
Now that we're farther from the coast, the corridor is straighter, and we cruise steadily onwards past pine trees and small towns as the sun sinks to the west. We also play Count the Broken Lighting Fixtures in our car. There's 2. Walking to the cafe car, I can't help but notice the restroom is signed WC, the symbol for restrooms in many European countries. Also, automatic doors. Nice. The cafe car on board has a somewhat unique menu, as many state-sponsored corridor services do. Since the Talgo cars are so short, the cafe car's seating area is an entirely different unit of the train set, and we park there to watch the glorious North Washington sunset. And they have clam chowder on this train, which is a unique menu item for the Cascades. 6 out of 10, it's basically just chunky potato soup with a few clams. Update, we have been provided with Junior Conductor Fun Books.
Oh my goodness. I know I've gotten one of these at one point, but it's been years.
So we're in Bellingham, which is the last station in Washington State before we get to Canada. And the conductors are coming through to make sure that people getting off in Bellingham are getting off in Bellingham, because otherwise you're going over an international border. So this door is now stuck. It's not opening or closing. If I push a little bit, will it? There we go. Train sets also come with accessible seating, luggage racks, and somewhat weirdly placed trash receptacles. Update, I got recognized by one of the other passengers and I chatted it up with them for a bit, and when I got back to my seat, I discovered we are in Canada! We have crossed the border! That is White Rock, British Columbia, out the very dark window. Now, even though we're physically in Canada, we aren't legally in Canada yet. That means we can continue to purchase food in the cafe car, like Josh's Twix, with US dollars, without paying Canadian sales tax. It takes a while to crawl into Metro Vancouver. Along the way, we get a complete sampling of the region's passenger trains. There's the Vancouver SkyTrain, which we'll explore more later, West Coast Express commuter trains, cars from the Via Rail Canadian, a locomotive from the Rocky Mountaineer tourist train, and a Cascades train set, with an F40PH cab car and Amfleet coaches. Then we're pulling up alongside the Via Rail Canadian, which will be departing for Toronto soon, and come to stop at Pacific Central Station. Soon we're walking down the platform, which is fenced off from the rest of the station, as we're not legally past border control yet. That happens in the station, where a border guard asks me a surprising number of questions, including about my job in Boston and how long I was in Seattle for. Then we're out in Pacific Central Station, which dates back to 1919. So, would I recommend taking the Cascades between Seattle and Vancouver? Well, travel time is quite slow compared to driving. The equipment, while exciting for me as a rail van, is definitely ready for a replacement, and there just aren't that many train trips per day, though it is worth mentioning that there are thruway buses linking Seattle to Vancouver during the middle of the day. But all that said, the journey on the Cascades is affordable if you book in advance, and really pleasant. If that's all something that floats your boat and you have a valid passport, I would definitely say the experience is worth it. As for me and Josh, we're headed out to the SkyTrain, our hotel and bed. Stay tuned for more from Vancouver.